Time's up. Ben Shapiro rips Bernie Sanders and Ocasio Cortez. Let's hear it.
Bernie Sanders is the ideological thought leader of the Democratic Party. He is the wise man upon the mountain who sits there conveying his genius to the rest of the American public. And he's stupid. But Bernie Sanders, I run out of accolades for Bernie Sanders. He was on CBS this morning discussing why America is fundamentally immoral and wrong. And this links up with the Andrew Cuomo perspective that America is inherently bad. What would make America better is if America were no longer America. If America were to embrace all of these other programs and policies that America has historically not embraced because we believe in individual liberty over collective redistribution. And that's the basic idea.
So your argument for not changing policy is because historically we've never had those policies. I mean, are you aware that you could be dropped off at any point in history and make that same argument? Hey, man, America has traditionally had slavery. Hey, man, women traditionally have not been allowed to vote. Yeah, lots of things have been tradition until they weren't anymore. You know, so I'm not saying that you're wrong about your position. I mean, I am saying that. But even if you were right, that's a shitty argument. You know, tradition's good because it's tradition. I don't buy that bullshit. Neither should anyone else.
So Bernie Sanders is on with CBS this morning, and he explains why America is fundamentally immoral. It's fundamentally immoral, and it is fundamentally wrong. And I would like my pudding cup, please, before I keel over. My blood sugar is simply too low. I cannot handle this any longer. Please play the clip.
I think that there is growing resentment, not only among young people, who in many cases are going to have a lower standard of living than their parents. I think that there is an understanding there is something fundamentally immoral and wrong about a nation in which we have three people who own more wealth than the bottom half of the American people. That does not make sense.
One of the things that you have to love about Bernie Sanders is that his take on economics is so disconnected from the reality of economics. The only thing I can think to analogize it to is the use of his hands to what he's saying. Right? They're completely disconnected. And he's just saying, he's sitting there and he's talking to you and you don't know what he is doing with his hands, but it just seems like at the end he's going to be doing the Macarena. No one understands why.
So are we going to address the thing Bernie Sanders said about the three people owning more wealth than the bottom half of the country? Is that something you're going to address directly, or are you just going to be like, Bernie's hand movements don't make no sense? Womp, 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 womp. Come on. Address the substance of the fucking argument, Ben Shapiro. I dare you.
No one understands why.
Okay.
But what's really great about Bernie is what Bernie does is he says, there are problems in life, and these problems are bad problems, and that means socialism. It's like, so, okay.
Oh, yeah. And you don't do that, right? You don't do exactly the same thing, but just with a different solution. You know? Where's the fucking refutation of what he just said? Bernie Sanders just gave you the astonishing statistic that the three richest people in this country control more wealth than the bottom 50% of this country. And your reaction is, I am Bernie Sanders, and I am a fool, and socialism works so well for Venezuela. That's fine. You want to mock Bernie Sanders, go ahead, mock whoever you want, but are you going to address what he said in the clip that you played? So obviously you chose it, you wanted to respond to it. Why aren't you responding to it? That's what I want to know.
Okay, there are three rich people and a lot of poor people. Yeah. Unless you can show me that the rich people stole from the poor people, I don't know what Bernie Sanders' problem is. Bernie, I don't begrudge.
Okay, what a soft landing on that. There are three rich people and there are a lot of poor people. That's not what he said. He said that the three richest people control more wealth than the bottom 50% of the fucking country. If you think that those are good results, that those are acceptable results, that three fucking people control more wealth then the bottom half of every single fucking person in this country, if that's what you think, if you think those are desirable results that people should be like, yay, yay, then explain why.
Grudge Bernie Sanders his lake house other than I paid for it because I'm a taxpayer. But if he had actually worked in private industry and bought a lake house, then I certainly don't begrudge him his lake house. Bernie Sanders' entire priority is pointing out...
Bernie Sanders is one of the poorest fucking senators. He's one of the poorest fucking senators. But yeah, he does get a government salary. Yeah, we pay senators. What's your problem with that? I don't see Republican senators saying, no, I will not take tax money, for I am against taxes. And by the way, paying senators, pretty fucking insignificant fucking sliver of the budget, by the way. Wow, who knew a Jewish person pretending to be a Jewish would be really cringe/bad? Yeah, you'd think that Ben Shapiro would have a leg up imitating Bernie Sanders since they're both Joes. But no.
Inequalities that are endemic to the human condition. Right? Every society has inequality. The question is not the inequality. The question is, how are poor people in the United States living? And the answer is poor people in the United States live better than poor people at any time in any place in human history, and it's not particularly close.
So what? What does that have to do with fucking anything? Poor people live better now than they did in the past. Okay, they're still poor. You know, they're still not living the standard of living of those three fucking super rich people. And I'm not saying they should. I'm not arguing against the concept of wealth. Most liberals are not arguing against the very concept of wealth. Obviously, if you're a great entrepreneurial spirit, there should be some sort of compensation for that. But for three people to control more wealth, which once again, this is the statistic you're supposed to be responding to, for three people to control more wealth than the bottom 50% of the country, no one needs that much fucking money. No one needs that much money. If half of the population of the country can live on that much money, then it is too much for three people. I think that's a pretty fair fucking assessment. I think that we could maybe tax those people, those three people, a little bit heavier and pay for some better fucking social programs and shit in this country. You know what? We could take away, you know what this means? It means we could take away the vast majority of their money, which I'm not advocating, by the way, but we could. We could take away the vast majority of the money of the three richest people in this country, and they would still be fucking rich. They would still be rich beyond their wildest dreams, able to jet set around the world, live in mansions, do whatever the fuck they wanted. We could do that. Not saying we should. I don't think we should start taking already made income from people. But I think the income they make from this point forward, if they're making billions of dollars, it should be taxed at a higher rate. And I don't see why anyone would be against that. Because we're talking about the most fringe minority of people on the fucking planet. I mean, it's funny to me, every time like the transgender bathroom issue comes up, they're like, transgender people are such a small portion of the population, so why are the Democrats worrying about them? Well, the three people that you're defending who have more wealth than the bottom fucking 50% of the country, that's a much smaller minority than transgender people, so why are you lodged so far up their ass, huh?
And that's not to say that we can't have community programs that are designed to help poor people. It doesn't mean that there isn't endemic corruption to the American government that benefits some at the expense of others. What it does mean is that for him to sit there and suggest that income inequality is indicative of America being immoral is to ignore all of human history as well as any context.
I mean, you just waved the white flag to the argument because that's what he was just saying. The shit that you just copped to is what Bernie Sanders was saying with that statistic. So you're going to say, I agree with Bernie Sanders, but he's wrong because he's Bernie Sanders and he's a socialist and I'm not a socialist. And I'm not saying we can't have social programs. Okay, we can have social programs. How about Medicare for all then? Can we have that? Can we have universal health care like every other fucking modern Western country? Can we have that, maybe? Could have a fucking better social safety net, you think? I don't know. If you're not against it, then maybe we could work.
And that's a serious problem for Bernie Sanders in this entire perspective. Now, the good news for Bernie Sanders is that the media will never ask him about any of this. And I want to show you the evidence of this. So CBS's Biana Galadraga, she was interviewing Bernie, and they reached the end of the interview. And he's gone through 15 minutes of interview. And when they reached the end of the interview, she finally says, she's about to ask him how he's going to pay for any of this. And then, shockingly, they run out of time. It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, because Bernie's never been asked that question before. I mean, you can find literally countless examples of Bernie Sanders being asked, how are you going to pay for this? And giving perfectly reasonable, cogent answers to that fucking question. So to act like, woo, the media just won't give that question to Bernie. I mean, like, Bernie was on a fucking show on, I don't remember if it was CNN or MSNBC, where the dude started breaking out fucking chalkboards and shit. Like, how are you going to pay for this? Here's a big scary chalkboard with socialism written in wavy, spooky lines. This is on the liberal media. They're saying, how are you going to pay for all this, huh, Bernie Sanders? To act like Bernie's never been asked that question, never answered that question. Fuck you, Ben Shapiro, you scum fuck. You intellectually disingenuous weasel.
Unbelievable. They just run out. It's amazing. Watch.
Of course, the response from many is we like the ideas. How do we pay for them? This conversation, of course, will continue, but we've run out of time, Senator. Thank you for joining
Oh, what a pity. Oh, what a pity.
Oh, man. Oh, what a pity. What a pity. What a pity. Yeah, Bernie Sanders has answered that question on numerous occasions. You have a show, you have a research team, I'm assuming. They could have found you any number of examples of Bernie Sanders answering that question. Not that it would have mattered, because I'm sure that after he answered the question using numbers and, economic indicators and talking about exactly how he plans to pay for the things. Bernie Sanders is one of the most substantive fucking political speakers ever. 90% of what comes out of Bernie Sanders' mouth is numbers and statistics and facts and figures. Ben Shapiro then hears that and goes, oh, Bernie Sanders, I'm Bernie Sanders, and I want to give everybody free cupcakes because I'm a crazy socialist. Fuck you. Oh my God, dude. So cringe, so fucking embarrassing. And I know all the right-wingers watching are saying, is he describing himself right now?
Now, it's funny how the conversation always runs out of time.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You're a liar. It does not. You're a fucking lying sack of shit. That's not true, Ben Shapiro. Facts before feelings, bitch. That's not true. That's flat out not fucking true, Ben Shapiro. You are a lying piece of garbage.
I wasn't doing so.
And yeah, the free cupcake initiative is a good idea. We should probably implement that in the future.
I wasn't doing so because I am just in love with the idea of spending time with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'm doing so because I would like for someone to actually ask her a series of questions about how she intends to pay for things. Because what happens...
Once again, she's been asked those questions. It's one of the fucking main questions that Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez deal with on a fucking frequent basis. He acts like they've never been asked these questions. I am tired of this Ben Shapiro alternate reality where no one asks them how they plan to pay for these programs. That's bullshit. I mean, what was it? It was recently, I think the Heritage Foundation actually looked at Bernie Sanders' healthcare plan and accidentally proved that it would save the American people money. Because right now we spend more per capita for health care than any other country, even though we don't even have universal fucking health care. Even though we have the only major westernized country where people actually go into medical debt and have to file for bankruptcy because of their crippling medical debt. We have the only Western country where that shit happens, and yet we're still spending more than every other country that doesn't have that shit. I mean, how absurd is that? I mean, like, you're just fighting a war against the numbers because you're not facts over feelings, your feelings over facts, and you like your spangly fucking bullshit with your stupid fucking flag waving behind you while you fucking say things that you think sound patriotic, but to me sound fucking disgusting. Because a true patriot would want to take care of the citizens of this country, not just say, fuck them, I'm with the fucking super rich. I'm with the 3 richest motherfuckers in this country over everybody else. Because if they got more money, they must just be intrinsically better people. Fuck you, Ben Shapiro. You're a scum fuck from hell. I have nothing more to say about this shit. The Patreon you see before you is the Pessimist Productions Patreon that includes Deep Fat Fry, The Amazing Atheist, Cinema for Cynics, Ideology, TJ Does Life. We are currently sitting at 3,550 patrons. If you want to know why we have so many, then maybe check it out, see if it's right for you, etc.